Hi, welcome to the lesson, Examining Passenger Lists. This is a lesson from Stanford History Education Group's Reading Like a Historian, and it's titled Examining Passenger Lists. Before we begin, think about famous explorers, and they often kept diaries about their travels and experiences. But how would we learn about the lives of ordinary men and women who moved to the colonies? Remember, most of these people were illiterate. This is going to be our warm-up discussion forum question. How would we learn about the lives of ordinary men and women who moved to the colonies? Remember, most people were illiterate. Please answer this in the discussion forum for Examining Passenger Lists. This is a brief overview of our lesson. First, we did our warm-up discussion forum question. Now I'm going over the lesson overview. I will next review key background information. Then I'm going to go over the passenger list graphic organizer activity instructions. And lastly, please make sure you complete the graphic organizers by midnight of the deadline. Going over the background information, it's important to know where England and the colonies were. So for England, we're talking about Europe. And we're talking about people in this lesson who are coming from England and going to the colonies. The British colonies are here, on the eastern part of the United States, touching the North Atlantic Ocean. Between 1150 and 1650, England's population increased from 3 to 5 million people. This is a huge increase. You can see the huge jump right there. Therefore, there was a huge movement of people to the colonies. And these were the American colonies. They were still part of England. You can see the northern part is called, in pink here, is the New England colonies. The yellow is the Middle colonies. The green is the Chesapeake colonies. And the blue is the Southern colonies. Of the people who came, men and women, the British, also known as English, who came to the New England part of the colonies were servants. Only 35% of them were. However, when we moved down to the Virginia and Chesapeake colonies, 75% of the English men and women who came to Virginia in the 1600s were servants. We can start to see a change. In 1634, the King of England told officials in London to record information on all people sailing abroad. He didn't want England to lose its wealthier subjects, and he wanted to make sure that passengers were loyal to the King and Church of England. This is a portrait of King Charles I. It was painted in 1636 by Anthony van Dyck. So now we're going to look at two passenger lists from ships headed to the colonies. The first ship is called the America, and this is the passenger list from June 23rd, 1635. This is all we have of these people. Nothing else remains. All we know is their names and their age. When you look through this list, you'll see that most of the names are men, but there are also a few women on here. It's kind of hard on some of them, but this list does tell you men and women. Men, women. And when it says their age, even though this is women, yes, that is a little baby girl. 3-year-old. Here's the other ship that sailed to New England on April 2nd, 1635. This one's a little more tricky. So these are the written names of the people that were on the ship called the Planter. And this is the certificate of all the people that are on that ship. Have much younger people on this ship, some of them. And this one also tells you a little bit about their profession. Please pay close attention to that. So what I would like you to do is download the passenger list graphic organizers under this week's resources. The document is going to look like this. You're going to type your name in here, and we're going to fill out this part of the organizer. Don't worry about these questions until after filling out the organizer. So what I'd like you to do is simply count up. When this is done on paper, you put a tally mark, but you can just type in the number. Count up the total number of passengers on each ship. So you'll see on here, you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Same for this one. Count up the number of people. You'll type that right here. Do that for both the ships. And then try and do the ratio of male to females. I understand that on this ship, it's not going to tell you exactly their gender, but you can just guess. If it's close, I'll be nice to you. So ratio means how many men to how many women. So you'd write 1 man, and then how many women. So you can just put the number of men and the number of women. Age distribution. So tally up how many people are in the 0 to 4 group, how many people are in the 5 to 13, and so forth. You might want to add a line or two here to make it a little easier, but if you just write infants, children, young adults, elderly next to your number, that will help keep it organized. The number of married passengers. Please try and use you can use, if it says married to, then it makes it easy, but you might just have to use their last name. If it's 2 men with the same last name, unfortunately during this time they did not have gay marriage or civil unions, so that is not, they're going to be brothers. So try and find people with the same last name. That's going to be the easiest way to tell their marital status. So type up the number of married passengers for each list. Remember, if it's both of the same gender, at this time they would not have been married. Number of passengers traveling with at least 1 family member. I'll count any person with the same last name. So just count up number of people with the same last name. So let's move on to the questions below. So this is what it will look like. Our first question is, please describe the typical English immigrant to the New World in terms of gender, age, and marital status on each of the ships. How does this differ on the 2 ships? If you need more space, feel free to type it up and you can include another page. So please be detailed. I'd like several sentences. Probably 3 to 5 sentences would be a solid answer on this one. And for the second question, what can we tell about the social background and wealth of the average passenger on each ship? And does one of the ships have richer passengers? What do you predict the passengers on the America will do when they arrive in Virginia? Please go back and really look at the list. Look at the age. Look at this one. If you have a servant, you might be wealthy. Servant to Joseph Tuttle. Well, Joseph Tuttle is 1 year old. He might be named after this man who's 39 years old. But if you have servants and a huge number of people coming with you, you probably have more money. That sort of information is very important. And what do you predict they're going to do when they arrive in Virginia? So also you can go back and look at the information provided in this part. I will include the PowerPoint to download and use. Use all that information in answering the questions. After you've completed these, please submit the completed graphic list or the passenger list graphic organizer by midnight of the deadline. Well, congratulations on this lecture and good luck with your passenger list graphic organizers. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me by email and I will get back to you within 48 hours. Thank you and happy learning.